Welcome to the Regular People Podcast. I
Thank you.
am Wade, and today I'm joined by Kendall Karpinski.
Yep, thanks for having me. I'm sure you've heard. I'm kind of a big fan. I've been listening. All my roommates have been on the podcast,
Yeah.
so I've
Well,
listened to
we're
quite a
getting
few.
there.
Yeah, got like two more, I think,
Yeah.
but they're not as interesting.
Oh,
Just
okay.
kidding. No, I'm kidding.
I feel like I haven't talked to them as much, so
Yeah,
I don't know. Thanks for listening to the episodes. I
yeah,
always appreciate when I got a fan.
yeah,
So I guess one thing I want to say is for listeners and for my recording self is there might be some talking going on. I feel like usually when I record in this audio booth, there aren't people right outside, but today there are, so a little bit unlucky. Hopefully it won't be a big deal.
yeah. Tuesday, peak library population, probably.
Yeah,
Middle of
maybe.
the week.
Yeah.
So,
First thing I like to do with people is ask for like some background on yourself. What have your last 5 years looked like for you? How have you changed? What have you been up to? What have your interests been in that time? How old
last
are you also?
5 years. I'm 21.
Oh, okay.
So, last 5 years, that puts me back like in high school, I guess. Senior year, 2020 is when COVID happened. Basically, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Really kind of scary time. Like, just had no idea what I wanted to do. So, it's a requirement at Kimberly High School, which is where I went, that you have to take like a life on your own class.
Okay, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, it helped me a lot. But basically one day, like, this dude from recruiter from the Army National Guard came in, was like, "Do you want to go to college for free and we'll give you $20,000?" And I was like, I have nothing else to do. So
$20,000 on top of going to college
yeah,
for free?
yep,
That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah. It's a bonus. So that was like the sign-on bonus that they offered. So I'm like, might as well. It's like one weekend a month.
Yeah.
All you got to do is like work out and kind of just show up. And
Does it start out as one weekend a month though? I feel like don't you have basic training or something?
yeah. So
Like 3 months or something?
yeah, you got to go to basic training, which is 10 weeks, and then that's followed by AIT, which is advanced individual training, I think.
Were you
is what
specialized in something?
Yeah. So like my job is a 12 Bravo combat engineer, it's called, and that was only 4 weeks at the time. And now I think they actually made it like 14 weeks for that. So I was like one of the last like of the 4 weekers
That
of
seems
the
kind of
12
weird. Like,
Bravos.
does that mean you're undertrained
Um,
with, in comparison to the newer
well,
guys?
I think how they did it the old way with the 4 weeks was better, because at being a combat engineer, the job is extremely broad. You can be doing like route clearance, which is basically looking for like roadside IEDs or like bombs or whatever. You can be like a light sapper platoon, which is like where you're like connected to like an infantry unit, being on foot, kind of doing like light arm stuff. Basically, they call it like the jack of all trades. So the 4 week training, I feel like you do most of the training once you're assigned to your unit after AIT, and then you
Gotcha.
kind of learn what you're going to be like really specializing in.
Oh, okay.
But now I think they just delve deeper into each one of those.
Oh, okay. And then maybe whatever you get assigned to, half of what you learned ends up being useless
Right.
to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, high school. Ended up joining the Guard while I was 17, still in high school.
So how does that work? I've always kind of wondered because I noticed those recruiters when I was in high school too. They didn't snatch me up, but like basic
Lucky.
training, do you have to then like do that over the summer, or like do you somehow do that during your school year?
Well, so it's 10 weeks, so usually you can fit that into like a summer vacation or whatever. Some kids even join like their junior year of high school,
Yeah.
go to basic training that summer after. Then they just go to normal like beginner drill, it's called SRP, for their whole senior year, and then when they graduate, they'll go to AIT.
Okay.
So it can be like split like that. In my case, I just waited till I was done with senior year and basically did it just all the way through back to back.
So when did you sign on though?
October 15th, 2019.
So you were a senior
Yes.
at the time. So did
Yeah.
you get your $20,000 bonus right then, or was it like
you get the first 10
once you finish something?
Yeah, you get the first 10 after you finish basic training, and then you get, I think it's $5,000 after 3 years, and then $5,000 after 5 years. I signed a 6-year contract, so
Okay, so this is a bonus, and you get those installments at those times, but you're also getting like salary or something like that.
Yeah, so how it works for me is if you're a full-time student, you get the 1606 GI Bill, at least in Wisconsin, that's what they offer, which is like ends up being like 400 or 500 bucks a month, just like because they don't expect you to really work if you're a full-time student.
Yeah.
And then if like me, I scored good enough on my ASVAB test, which is like the test you have to take before you even get into the military. If you score good enough on that, you can get a GI Bill kicker, it's called, which is like an extra lump sum a month.
Okay.
So
Is that basically like an ACT or equivalent kind of thing?
it's
Or
like that.
English, math.
No,
No?
the questions are very basic English math kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
then like most of the questions are like, what is this part on a car? Or like
Oh, it's like an engineering
yeah,
test.
well, not even that. It's more broad than just engineering. It's like
Okay.
more hands-on, like kind of like industrial, like worky questions, which is
Okay.
weird. Because I mean, a lot of the jobs you're doing in the army are, working with your hands and with like
Machines,
machinery
yeah.
and stuff.
Okay.
Not to say that there's not tens of thousands of office jobs, like finance jobs and stuff that they offer too. Yeah. So it's pretty sweet. I get a good amount of money a month just for going to school and going to drill one
Yeah.
weekend a month. They say it's one weekend a month, but it ends up like not being one weekend a month. Like,
What, do you just not get called in for a
well,
weekend sometimes?
no. So it ends up being more.
Oh, more.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they're like, oh, like we have come in Thursday and like stay till Monday, and they call that a weekend sometimes.
Okay.
And then the other thing is like the 2 weeks in the summer, the annual training, which I haven't had a normal 2 week annual training in all my 3.5 years of being in.
What do you mean by you haven't had a normal one? Like, you
Well,
haven't had it, or
no,
it's been longer?
it's been way longer, yeah.
Like
So
4 weeks?
yeah, closer to that. My unit basically is like working up to a deployment, and you have to like basically make it through like levels,
Okay.
and you have to like pass these levels
As a unit?
as a unit,
Okay.
and you get graded. And like if you pass this one, you move on to the next one, and if you make it all the way up to like the last level, they can deem you deployable. Then you basically get thrown into a rotation of like relieving people that are already deployed.
So
It's like a rotation thing.
I keep
So
on asking questions, so I feel like
no,
we're getting off of these topics that I originally asked you about. But
that's
so
fine.
deployment though, does that always mean like overseas somewhere, or could
Yeah.
the deployment be just like a different state? Like, could you get
Well,
deployed to California?
Yes, you could, but that's called like activation if it's
Okay.
like domestic, which I've actually been activated a few times.
Sounds like
Uh,
you're a sleeper agent or something.
no, it's actually crazy. So I don't want to jump back and forth between the original like 5 year thing
Oh,
because
okay.
like
Yeah.
and like this because this is
Yeah, we'll remember that one.
okay. Yeah, I want to go back to the activation stories at some point.
Okay.
So yeah, we're basically working up to a deployment. You basically go through these like war simulation things. At least for me, it is because I'm a combat arms MOS or job, and it's pretty sweet actually. It's fun. Besides all like the bullshit of sleeping in the rain and shitting in the woods and not showering for weeks, and it sucks, but it's basically like glorified laser tag.
Yeah.
Like we run around in the woods and we shoot blanks at each other, and we have these things called miles lasers that clip onto the end of our weapons, and every time a blank is like fired, it engages the laser at like the bad
Okay.
guys, and like if you get hit, it like buzzes at you basically. So it's like this big month-long war
Are
simulation.
you wearing like special like vest or something?
Yeah,
Or,
it like clips into your like kit, like your IOTV or bulletproof vest, basically. But yeah, you basically like start out doing like a very easy one of those, and it like gets harder and harder. And we just completed our second one this past summer, and now this next summer I have to go down to Fort Polk, Louisiana, and we're gonna complete our final one. And we've been killing it, so hopefully we do good.
So your goal is to get deployed personally?
That's something I kind of struggle with. Like I don't necessarily know if I want to. the pros of being deployed would be like, yeah, like I can say I actually did something with my time in the Army. You also like don't have to take care of any bills while you're gone. They like pay all your bills, all your rent and everything. Your salary is tax free because you're deployed. You're not on like U.S. soil, so that's also a plus. And you basically, a lot of people think it sounds like, oh, you're getting shot at every day, but it's really like you're just kind of going to work every day, like 9 to 5. You get back to the base, you can eat, work out, and for me personally, I really enjoyed basic training because it was kind of like I was away, got to really just focus on working out, and getting in like a routine was really nice. Like being away from everything, not even being able to spend any money, making all this money while I'm gone. So I think like having something like that after college would be really good kind of head start into a real adulthood after college, especially the money, like.
Aside from the fact that they're paying bills for you while you're deployed, is there any extra like financial like incentive? Like, are the people who are deployed paid the same like as before, or do you get like a raise for being deployed?
So it definitely gives you like promotion points.
Okay.
If you're deployed, which makes it more likely that you'll get promoted, and every time you promote onto the next higher rank, you get a pay bump.
Right.
So, yeah, and then you also get like hazardous pay, which is like how dangerous your location is. You can get paid more or less based on where you are. Another really big thing is like the insurance is like really nice. That's actually why a lot of people like stay in the Army, like just to get like really cheap insurance, which is interesting.
Cheap, so you still have to pay for it?
Yeah, you still have to pay for it, but it's like significantly cheaper. Like especially like a lot of the guys with like families and stuff, it's like so much cheaper. Like cheaper enough to where they're literally signing more contracts and so that would be cool to get deployed. The downside to that would obviously be, being gone for a year. I have things that I like to do and friends and stuff that I would miss, obviously, but
an increased chance of death, even if you're
right,
not like in an active war zone. It's still going to be more dangerous than living in non-deployment.
But it's something weird with being in the Army where like I've been training for 3 years, and it's kind of this thing where I'm like, all right, I'm like kind of ready to do my job for real. Like it's weird. I know it sounds like kind of bizarre, but it's like I talked to my dad. He's a firefighter, and he was kind of the same way. He was like, when he was fresh, like out of the fire department, he really wanted to like boots on the ground, like have something happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of weird human psychological, Also, I just feel like war and like violence is so like heavily rooted into like humans, which is kind of weird.
So you're
not
like
saying I'm
amped up
like,
for it.
no, I'm not saying I'm like a violent person or I necessarily want it to happen, but like I feel like I'd be ready, and I feel like me and the people I work with would do like a very good job, and it would be like extremely fulfilling to execute proficiently,
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I had another question that popped up about these war games that you're playing. Maybe that makes it sound like childish, but
no, that's exactly what it is. You're playing like an army guy,
right? So when you get shot by this, laser blank, do you just then have to act dead, or like do you have some sort of way of telling like, oh, that was a non-fatal shot, so now I have to just act injured?
So there's these XOs that walk around that kind of facilitate the war game.
Yeah.
And like if you get shot, your gear will like buzz at you, and an OC will either come up and be like, "You're dead. You got shot in the face. Like don't move," or they'll be like, like you got your left leg blown off, and they'll like kind of sometimes they'll even have like flashcards that they'll throw on you, so like your teammates can come up and read it and perform,
like simulate
put on tourniquets or gauze or call in 9 lines or whatever, so it goes either way. But the last 2 trainings that we attended, I was like one of the only guys that died in my whole company. Which I don't know if that's just like bad luck or just wrong place at the wrong time or what, but I just think it's kind of funny.
Hopefully that's not an omen.
Right. Hopefully not.
Okay, so back to the 5 year
Yeah.
story then.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you
We
joined the
totally
National
got
Guard.
off track there.
You signed up in October of your senior year.
Yeah.
But then you didn't do boot camp or basic training until the summer after senior year.
Yes, correct. So I get back from basic training and AIT, and I got all this money, and I'm 18, and I'm like, this is awesome. You know, I buy a motorcycle. I buy, like, it was just so cool.
Yeah.
And, like, COVID was kind of still a thing at the time. And
I guess, sorry to sidetrack you again,
No.
but do you know if that, like, changed the way basic training happens?
Oh,
Or,
it
like,
for sure did.
like, was everybody, like,
We had to wear masks.
6 feet apart at all times and everything like that?
Kind of, not really. We had to, like, quarantine for, like, 2 weeks right when we got there, so, like, everyone was good. But we still had to wear masks, and a big thing with basic training is, like, being accountable for all your gear at all times. And it was really annoying because it was just one more thing you had to remember.
Yeah.
Like, if you would forget, like, your Camelback or, like your water source, or if you would forget your hat, your patrol cap or something, like, they would just smoke you, you know, they'd make you do push-ups.
Yeah.
And it was just, like, one other thing that you could, like, randomly forget somewhere, and they'd be like, where's your mask? Like, you know, so
it's kind of weird that they make you wear masks if you guys all quarantine.
Exactly. But I don't know, whatever. We also, like, there's, like, a lot of, like, civilians, like, the people who work at, like, the dining facility, and like there's people that come in from the outside, so it kind of makes sense. Yeah. But other than that, it didn't really change too much. I was actually also, are you familiar with the term shark attack?
No.
Have you, like, I'm trying to think of a movie.
Unless you're talking about a literal shark attack.
No. So basically there's this thing called a shark attack, which is, like, right when you get off the bus at basic training, and they'll, like, be screaming at you in your face, tossing your shit everywhere.
Okay. Making
you, like, get it, like, just super high intense situation. Basically, the army, like, kind of deemed that like they didn't like it. I don't know, like, and a lot of people are saying, like, the army's getting softer now.
Yeah.
But anyways, we were, like, the last.
So this is something that before, like, just not like your leaders would do, but just the guys who are there would just haze you, basically?
No, the lead, it was, like, the drill sergeant.
Oh, the drill sergeants would do it too? Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, it was just the drill sergeants that would do it. Okay. But we were actually the last cycle in the U.S. Army to ever receive a shark attack, which is pretty cool. Because then I can, like, actually be like, yeah, my basic training was, you know,
legitimate.
Legit, but I mean, still not even close to as legit as, you know, previous year. Even like 2013 basic training was, like, way worse. Like, it just gradually got easier and easier with, like, rules and,
like, how strict they are, things like the amount of physical labor, like what
stuff like that. Like, they're more, like, big army leadership is holding drill sergeants a lot more accountable with, like, treating the soldiers with, like, fairness and stuff, where that was kind of not so much a thing in past years, where, like, I don't know, they could really mess you up. Like, obviously, like, way long time ago, like, people would be getting hit by drill sergeants, and just, like, another big thing is, like, the punishment for whatever you're doing wrong has to fit the infringement. Like, it has to be, you know, proportional. And that wasn't always the case, like, back then. Like, I'm thankful that I went through it at the time that I did, I guess.
I mean, I can see a benefit, though, to the shark attacks, or, like, that kind of hazing, too, because if you're screaming at people and, like, tormenting people as soon as they get there, I imagine that leads to at least some people leaving and quitting. Yeah,
it weeds out the weak ones.
Right, so, like, if you aren't exposed to, like, really difficult, terrible situation right away, then, like, are you going to expose to that when it, like, really matters, and then like, you're not the type of person who can handle it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The whole like, motto of basic training is, like, we're going to break you down so we can, like, build you back up how we want you, kind of.
Right. Yeah.
So they, like, really mess with you. Like, the first couple, like, weeks there were horrible, like, awful. I'm trying to think, like, just some of the little stuff that, you know, we'd mess up. We wouldn't, let's say someone left, like, a hair in the sink when they were shaving or something. Like we didn't clean up after ourselves or something. And a drill sergeant found it. You know, they'd just storm into our barracks and like take all of our shit and throw it everywhere and just make us do push-ups and run, and like it sucked.
So then, were most of the punishments, or all of them, more like having to do exercise or like manual labor, but like no beatings?
Yes. Yes. I will say we had one drill sergeant who was like, she was horrible. She was awful. And she accidentally, in the chow hall is where you eat, you had to do this thing where you would have to like bring your bowl to the food to put it in. Okay. But I accidentally like
brought the food to your bowl.
Yeah, I like picked up some salad and like put it in my bowl instead of bringing my bowl to the salad. And so she takes my bowl out of my hand and she like raises it up super fast, like right in front of my face. And on accident, she hit me in the face with my bowl. And my nose started bleeding like everywhere. And she said sorry at first, but then just continued to just scream at me. And then like a couple more weird things happened with her, and she eventually got demoted to a private and got kicked out of our company for being like an unfair leader. So yeah, I mean, it was an accident, but like that was probably part of why she had to leave.
Weird.
Yeah.
Another thought that I had. So do you think that going to basic training and just your entire experience, like in the armed forces, has changed your personality, or like,
I don't know if
who you are?
I don't think it changed my personality, but I think it did. You know, it definitely changed my perception on things and my work ethic for sure. You know, like coming out of high school as like a kid with like no direction and like going to that far away from your house, you know, you don't have your parents there, you know, you're all on your own. Like, I think that was really good for me. I wouldn't say it changed who I am though. Like I'm still, you know, the way I've always been, but I don't know. I'd say it helped me mature quicker.
Because I guess one thing that I'm curious about is people that go into whatever division of, I don't know, what do you call it? What's the overall? Is it the Army? Military. That's the word I'm looking for. The military. Because I guess basic training and all that would teach you to like follow orders and like, you know, be respectful and like be tidy and like completely put together kind of thing. I wonder if that's something that like people just get changed into that, or if it's more like code switching, where like you just are who you are, but then when you are in like the military environment, then you turn on that person again.
That's what it is for me, because I only do it, you know, 1 weekend a month or whatever. When I'm there, like I flip a switch kind of, and I'm like that. But when I'm not, you know, I'm able to turn it off. And a lot of my friends, like RV and all those guys, they'll tell you like right when I got back from basic, they said it like I was crazy, like because I was there for so long, and like, you know, you're very young, you're very impressionable, you know, like I remember thinking like I'm gonna go active, I want to do it, like but like I think maybe for a lot of active duty guys that might be the case, where like it, because it never really stops. But I got the break of coming home and then only having to go to drill every now and then. So I don't know.
So you're thinking it might be dependent on how much time you spend there? Like
yeah, maybe.
If you're
at least
deployed
for
7 years, then maybe that just kind of becomes who you are after a while.
Yeah, it becomes, you know, your reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's different for everyone, but that's how it is, or how it was for me, at least.
I don't know how much more there is to the 5-year journey, but
that's literally like, that's right after high school. I was back. I'm gonna try to not stray too far from this, but
I'll try to not distract you.
So I get back from basic training, had all this money, didn't even have a job or anything. Like, was like, all right, well, I gotta do something now. So I was like, you know, my dad is a firefighter. His dad was a firefighter. Maybe I'll just do that. So I enroll in EMT school at Fox Valley Tech. I'm like, yeah, this sounds cool. Like, it's kind of hand in hand with what I'm doing in the Guard, and it's interesting. It seems fun.
I mean, I imagine that's a common track, like either becoming like a police officer or like a firefighter for a lot of people after the military.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was totally on board with that. And then the semester was just about to start, and I got the call, hey, we're getting activated. There's a bunch of riots going on. Like, we need you. And this is like right when I'm fresh out of basic. Like, have not even been to a drill yet. Haven't met anyone at my unit. Like, still 18. Haven't had any training on riot control or anything. So basically, I report to, I think it was some armory in Kenosha. I think that's because I think it was at the time of like the Jacob Blake stuff.
Oh, okay.
And like, which is like a weird thing because like I was young and I felt like kind of at conflict with myself, thinking like I was on the wrong side.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Like the riots are justified,
Exactly.
and you're there to suppress them.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. That's how I felt. 18-year-old me shows up, and they basically like give me a rifle with 30 live rounds, and they just kicked me on the street of Kenosha with little to no riot control training at all.
That seems.
We were kind of just there for looks,
right?
More, but like it was still like very shocking. Like I have pictures of my phone, like I just look so young, and I'm like, just have no training on any, like, what if something does happen? Like, I don't know what to do. It was because that's not even what I was trained for at basic, you know?
Right.
We're kind of more there to just kind of like back up the police. Like they were kind of giving us orders, and it was more just for looks.
Were you there in like the full get up? Like you had that uniform with like Kevlar and like everything?
Yeah, I had full kit, and then we had baseball catcher shin guards on.
Oh, okay.
And then we had riot shields.
Yeah.
And then we had like these clip-on attachments on our helmets that would like flip down, and it was like a plastic face shield.
Oh, okay. Any gas mask or anything like that?
We did have gas masks, yeah. Yeah. We did that. I was there for like a week or two. We got sent home. I'm like, all right, well, I just missed my first week of EMT school. Oh well, I'll try to keep doing it, whatever, makeup.
The EMT school would be something like they cover, right?
Yes.
The National Guard covers, yeah.
So as soon as I'm about to go back, they call me again. They're like, all right, this time we're going to Madison. Like, get all your shit together. We're going. So I'm like, all right, this again. Thankfully nothing really happened. But yeah, I basically had to drop out of EMT school. And the funniest thing that actually happened, or not really funny, but on those activations, I think the one in Kenosha, this is what happened. I didn't really see it happen, but it happened to one of our guys. He actually got hit in the face with a gallon of milk. Like some protester just like threw it at him, I guess. And the funniest part about it is now like everyone calls him 2%. Like that's his nickname. It's kind of funny. But yeah, anyways, had to drop out of EMT school. Then, same thing kind of went on. Wasn't doing much, and I was like, I'll go to lacrosse, UW lacrosse. Went to UW lacrosse, undeclared, basically messing around. Kind of didn't really meet any friends there or anything. I was like, this place is really pretty, like very awesome, but I don't know, the people here aren't really for me. So I'm like, I'm going to transfer to UW Milwaukee. So I transferred to UW Milwaukee.
Did you know people already going to UW Milwaukee, or like
me and like kind of the people I live with now? We all grew up in Appleton together, so we were all kind of like talking about all moving in together and stuff. So that plan was kind of happening. So I'm like, all right, just got to finish out this year at lacrosse, then I can move to Milwaukee with all my friends. So as second semester starts, I meet like all my best friends at lacrosse. And
perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly. And they start a band, and like I really wanted to be in this band, but I was leaving, and like I would still jam out with them and stuff, but it really hurt. I was like, oh God, like I shouldn't have jumped the gun. I should have stayed.
Was it too late or something to change your mind, or?
I don't really remember. I remember making the decision and being like, this is what's gonna happen, and then like just kind of regretting it, but like still like I'm still gonna follow through with this. Like I still, because the other thing is lacrosse, like their academic programs are just like the basic like business accounting. Like,
Yeah.
you know, at Milwaukee, they have like kind of cooler stuff. Like,
Really?
yeah, I don't know, like more niche kind of stuff. Like, I'm going to school now for journalism, advertising, and media studies.
That's exactly what my girlfriend went for. Jams.
Yeah. Yeah, with focus in ad and PR. So
Oh, okay.
that's just, I don't know. It's more, and I'm happy I made the decision. Like, the school is just better for me personally. I like plus just like the people here are cooler, I think. Like, lacrosse is a bunch of just fratty white dudes. Like, I don't know. It wasn't.
Yeah, I can imagine Milwaukee's got cooler culture.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the city rather than
Yeah.
lacrosse.
Yeah.
I did visit lacrosse's campus in high school. It was like one of the places that I visited in like junior year or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's an awesome campus.
The campus is pretty cool, and I remember the theater department, which is what I wanted to go for back in the day.
Yeah.
Was pretty cool, and the director of that liked me, so could have done that, but.
Did you ever end up doing anything with that?
No.
No?
I decided to. I didn't. I decided to not go to college out of like high school, so took a long break and then kind of forgot all about lacrosse.
Yeah.
After a while.
So when did you start going to school then?
2020.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you a senior then this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Graduating in winter.
Yeah, that's right. With Emma. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Wow. Wait, so why'd you choose Milwaukee over lacrosse then?
So I was not going to school for a while, just living, like working jobs. And I was already living in Milwaukee, basically. I mean, I was living in West Dallas, which is close enough. And my girlfriend, Adrienne, did her first 2 years at Madison, and she did her second 2 years at Milwaukee. So then I kind of felt like I had experience with Milwaukee because I would like hang out around, campus and stuff for like 2 years. And then I, over that time, had known a bunch of people who had gone here. So it was close by, knew a bunch of people who went here. So I just decided.
Do you like it? Do you like Milwaukee?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's all right.
That's kind of how I feel. I mean,
I guess.
I think like as a university itself, it's cool and it's big and I don't know, like our union is cool. We got like a bowling alley in the basement. Have you been in the new bar down there?
No, it's
at the Guest House. It's really sweet.
I haven't checked it out. It was under construction.
Yeah, now it's finally done. So and it looks awesome. But like I don't know. I like the school itself, but like it's just kind of seems like to me like which is true, but they do really just let anyone in here.
Yeah. It was super easy for me to get in.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's like an 83% acceptance rate or something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, you gotta take that into account. Like and since like I went to college a little later, not as late as you, but I took a year off obviously for military stuff. But I'm in a class with like a lot of younger kids now.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that like I know this is true for like my grade too, but these like young like freshmen, sophomores, like I feel like lack huge like basic social skills. Like
social skills. Huh?
Like bad. Like in my class last week, we had a kid get called on like just out of the blue.
Yeah.
And the teacher asked him a question, and he kind of just stared at her. And it was like
no response?
No response. No, like, oh, sorry, I don't know. Or not even like I wasn't paying attention, sorry, or nothing. Just like, and I feel like, I don't know. It's weird. Something I've noticed.
I mean, I could definitely see that being a thing. Like if people in very, I don't know, formative years had to go through like virtual school, like for like however many years in high school or whatnot, they could probably have some detrimental effects.
Well, I think it's also like the convergence of Milwaukee letting like everyone in, and also like kids just like not even really needing to talk to people growing up now. Like they can just play video games with their friends, and that's I don't know. It's something I've noticed. Doesn't take anything away from Milwaukee, obviously, and I'm not hating against anyone, but like I don't know, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I have noticed. I feel like for a few classes, they're just like way too easy.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely more like the general education ones for sure. But one thing that's good about Milwaukee is I think it's like pretty good research school, especially for the field that I'm going for, like neuroscience.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, that's a plus.
Yeah, that's cool.
There's a lot of research going on, enough where I could get a job in it. So.
Cool.
Well, so you transferred
Yeah.
from lacrosse here.
Yeah, transferred from across here. And because I kind of had to like skip out on being in a band with all those guys, I was like, man, I really just want that for myself in Milwaukee here, where the scene is just so much better and like so much more opportunity. And luckily one of my roommates like had history playing drums or whatever, so we went and both threw in $100 and bought like some crappy old drum set. I already had my guitar and everything, so it was me and him. His name's Keenan. We just kind of started doing our own thing, messing around.
Did you already know him from Appleton too?
Yeah. And we kind of realized, we're like, dang, we kind of sound cool. Like, we're better than like we thought. And then kind of one by one, like we'd have just random people over and they'd, pick stuff up and try to jam with us. We had to, sometimes with some people it didn't work. But my cousin, Sam, he was a freshman last year. He moved into Sandburg and he was always at our house. And he kind of just picked up the bass and like started messing around with it. And the bass is like pretty easy instrument to learn. And I basically would just tell him what I was playing and he'd kind of follow along until we started jamming out a lot and he kind of started getting pretty good on his own. And so he's our bass player now. And then RV moved from Orlando to Milwaukee and he's our lead singer. So now it was me, Sam, RV, and Keenan. And, we were all right. We were still like, I was very not great at guitar, but like I could play power chords to, throw together any crappy punk song and, we could make it work. But then one weekend, RV had his brother over to visit, his little brother Chase. And he is like a music savant. Really? He is ridiculous, like crazy. And so he brought his guitar and stuff and, we all just played together and then the rest is history. Now we're in a band called Human Ant Farm. We've been a band now for a year and I'm like, I love it. It's like the best. Like,
nice. So it's a five
piece now. Okay. Yeah. We got 2 guitars, bass, vocals, and drum.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you mean recording music or just
so yeah, writing? We're kind of in the process of recording our first album. We just scheduled some studio time in Chicago for the first weekend of November.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it'll be really cool. Like all the stuff that we've, worked on and played at shows, like this whole first year, we're finally going to get out there for our first stuff, like on Spotify, everything.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Wait, why Chicago? Is there no good recording studio spaces here?
I mean, we've never done it, so like we didn't know where to go. And like I met this kid at school and he's like, you should go record with my homie Ben, like that I grew up with. He's got his own studio. Shout out Ben and Cade, by the way. And so we're going to record with it was like kind of like just the only lead we really had, so we just took it and we listened to some of the stuff he's produced in the past and it sounded good, so we're like, might as well.
Is that just like a guy it's still gonna cost a lot of money, or like do you have a hookup?
It's gonna be a lot of money still. Yeah, because you gotta think like this kid, like he's a young dude and he owns his own studio. Like he's gotta pay for it somehow, And I don't mind, something I don't mind really paying a lot of money for if it's gonna sound like really good and really professional. And like I more just want it recorded because I know we're not all gonna be young and able to be in this band forever, and I kind of just want something to be proud of, put out, to just kind of stamp the time.
Yeah, it's like a time capsule.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Something
like kind of what I'm doing with this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like something just to look back on. You can, listen back to and be like, oh, I remember when I was, going through this and I wrote this song or,
Yeah. So you can put that on Spotify. I feel like what you should do, unless you're already doing it, like record yourself playing, put those up on YouTube, and then, I don't know, you could just...
Yeah.
Cobble together some sort of like live music video kind of
that would
thing
be
to
sweet.
Accompany your
like dub
release.
It over like that would be sweet. We just like there's so much like stuff like that we could be doing and we're just not because it's I don't know, we're all busy, we got school,
it is a lot of work on top of everything else.
Exactly. And I would love to do that stuff, but then it's like you gotta pay someone to take a video you and we've tried recording some of our live stuff like on a camera like at our shows and stuff, and it just never turns out. And But yeah, eventually we'll get the ball rolling on some videos and some live stuff. And
I guess I don't know how tuned into it you are, but do you know if physical CD sales are a thing still?
they're a thing. A lot of bands do it. Like you'll see, bands at merch tables and at, college basement shows trying to sell CDs, but I feel like no one buys them. And like it's cool. Like it's a very romantic idea of, buying or selling your CD at a
Yeah.
basement show, but it's just not really realistic. Like everyone's who's gonna pay for that if you can go on Spotify and listen
Right.
to it for free.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like I heard a podcast of someone saying this, but it's the same thing with putting up like physical band posters to promote your shows. Like
You don't think that's
like
works?
I
Or?
think it works, but it's another one of those things where it's like, like it's kind of just like a romantic thought where like posting on Instagram is where everyone's gonna find it.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy now. Like promoting stuff and like being a band, like being on social media is like the biggest part of it. Like even more so than making the music itself, it seems sometimes. Like there's a lot of bands, like local bands that are awesome at social media, but they may lack in their music. Like it might not be the best, but they're huge because they know how to play the game on social media. And it's bizarre,
That's the sad part about kind of just anything you can do, anything creative you can do online, like making a podcast or like videos or music or art, whatever you're doing. It's almost like it's more important
For
to
sure.
get it out there to market than it
Exactly.
is to actually do it.
Yeah. There's two parts of the game for sure.
Yeah.
And
I definitely neglect one of those parts.
yeah, me too. But I'm trying to get better at it.
I've tried out a few times actually, promoting stuff through like YouTube or like through Facebook, and I don't know, maybe I'm just not doing it right. But so far, what I've seen is like it works. It like gets a spike in listens or views or whatever it is for the thing you're doing, but I haven't really seen that like stick or like,
Yeah.
for instance, like make a video, turn it into an ad, or like so people put ads for it so people will watch it. You see a big spike, a couple thousand views on it, but then as soon as the ad is over, then
Right.
it goes back to baseline. So it's
Yeah.
like, what was it even for?
Exactly. And I feel like for you, a really easy way, maybe not easy, I don't really know how this works, but I feel like a lot of the time it could like really depend on who you're interviewing. 'Cause like you get like some hot shot on here that posts it, like people are gonna listen to it and be like, oh, this is a good podcast host, I'm gonna listen to the rest of his stuff. I feel like
I think that's hard though to get.
I don't
somebody...
know, dude. I think like if you start like looking, how many people love to just talk about themselves, especially like ego-y famous people. And like there's a lot of like people with large followings in Milwaukee that you could find that would be like, yeah, I'll talk about myself for an hour. That sounds awesome.
So you're saying I should just start shooting DMs to people?
For sure. That's what I would do.
I haven't done that at all, so maybe I should give it a shot.
Podcasts are like 50-50. Like it's you promoting it, but then it's also whoever you have on promoting it,
Yeah. Honestly, so the not really business model, but the concept of the podcast was that I have a different person on every time. And obviously it wasn't planning on being like a famous person. It's just somebody I know.
Right.
So that whoever that person knows, their friends would listen to it because Kendall's friends want to listen to what Kendall has to say. So they tune into this episode. And then, maybe they like the podcast as a whole, so they listen. Maybe they want to be on it themselves. So,
Right.
And then it kind of grows from there. But it's a very slow thing.
Yeah.
So could probably speed that up if I tried to like
exactly
get influential people of some sort. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe you just got to find the right crew.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or I don't know, invest in.
But that is
Instagram ads.
Yeah, but that's. I mean, I like that. It is cool that you're just talking to like regular people.
Yeah.
Like you can listen to podcasts of famous. I mean, I guess you can listen to podcasts of normal people too, however much you want. But I think that's cool.
One thing about the putting up physical posters for the bands that like I feel like you're generally right that like, Instagram is just a better bet if you're gonna do it.
That's.
I feel like there's definitely, especially for music too, there's definitely like pockets of like culture like in certain cities, like for instance in Milwaukee, like River West. I feel like the River West people are definitely much more like less social media, more like
analog.
Yes. So like I feel like if you wanted to get those type of people like putting up a poster in like, Bremen Cafe.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I feel like that's the kind of crowd that is going to appreciate the actual
For
physical,
sure.
real life
Yeah.
advertising and like go to events based off posters they
True,
see.
and it is like a thing where it's like maybe I do want the people
Like
at
those
our
type of people.
shows like to be the people that appreciate like the old school, like the real way you're supposed to do it,
Yeah. Yeah.
the traditional way.
And I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping for that kind of audience too.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Try it.
Yeah. Maybe I will.
What's the worst that can happen? You end up right back where you are right
That's
now.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
With your band, you planning on making like you're not gonna sell CDs then? You're thinking, but are you gonna like
Probably not.
commission some album art or anything like that? I
Um,
feel like you gotta have like something for like the Spotify.
for
Like,
sure, yeah. We already have. We're very blessed, and we have a lot of artists around us and photographers. Like we're just friends with people who are creative, and I think honestly we already have enough to choose from of just random stuff for album art, but also like we have so many cool pictures of us too playing that we can use for like the backdrops. The spot that I'm really excited for like that part of it. Like getting to like
yeah.
get the visual aspect of Human Ant Farm like out there. Like I think that's gonna be cool. I mean, I guess we have an Instagram, but it. Me and my bandmates always joke that we just look like a boy band because it's just just pictures of us. I don't know. Like it'll be cool though. I'm really looking forward to it. We got some really really cool stuff, and we're getting so much better too. Like
How often do you guys practice?
we try to practice twice a week, but it never happens.
Oh, okay.
So we're lucky if we practice twice a week, but usually it's once.
Do you like practice individually though? Like how often do you spend practicing guitar?
I practice a lot. At least I try to every day, if not every other day. I'll play some guitar, just learn a new song or whatever.
One thing I just remembered that Emma said to me recently. Emma, listeners, for your information, she's been on a few episodes. I don't remember what the numbers were, but yeah, she's been on an episode, the podcast like twice. But she was telling me that she notices you like come home from work or like come from school and then spend like 20 minutes practicing guitar and then like just you gotta leave for work. So she said like she found that inspiring that like you're always like cramming in productivity and like trying to like pursue your goals all the time.
Yeah, for sure. It's a blessing and a curse how much I'm like I can't be bored. Like I have to be doing something at all times. And it's like it also becomes a thing where I feel like I always want to seek out hanging out with someone at all times. And because it feels like oh, I'm bored, I should be hanging out with someone.
Yeah.
But then I feel like sometimes when I have that mindset, I don't get, like alone time to do guitar and stuff because maybe it's more boring than hanging out with people. But even when I'm alone and that's not, hanging out with people isn't available, I'm still like that. Like I gotta be busy doing something.
Yeah. Do you have ADHD?
Probably.
Okay.
I don't know.
Though.
No, yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't. It doesn't inhibit me in any way.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe when it comes to like trying to focus on homework, I'm really bad at that. But like, I always get it done, and I don't know. I'm kind of not anti like getting like obviously medication works for a lot of people, but I don't think I need it. I'm good.
Yeah, definitely over medicated anyway, and overdiagnosed as well.
I mean, maybe I've always kind of wanted to try it to maybe see how it.
What, Adderall?
Yeah, or or what's the other one that ADHD is? Vyvanse or something.
I don't know.
I
don't have ADHD.
Yeah, I don't
sure.
I don't know. Maybe I should get tested or something. Maybe I could be even like way more productive if I like actually got properly.
I mean, it sounds like you're plenty productive though.
Maybe I could be more.
That's
maybe
true.
It's just the.
That's true. I think about that a lot. I feel like I gotta try to be productive all the time, like working on some sort of project or like getting schoolwork done or learning something or exercising, whatever it is. But I always think like I could just sleep less.
Yeah,
but
that's the thing.
I don't know.
Was it you and Caden talking about on the podcast, or if you could take a pill to not sleep, you would?
I don't remember if it was me and Caden
I
I
feel like
think I had, like, I don't know if you listened to the episode with me and my friend Ian, but I think we talked about that.
yeah, I think maybe that is where I heard it.
But yeah, he was. I don't think I would do that. I think I like sleeping too much to avoid it. But yeah,
You're
I think it was like
sleeping for more than half your life, though. Like, imagine you could take a pill where you wouldn't get tired for like 2 days or something, and then maybe you had to fall asleep.
Okay, well, like, yeah, let's
like
see. I guess it depends on how this works because yeah, if it's like I'm not just completely ruining my body by doing this, and it's kind of like a magic thing where I can just don't have to sleep anymore, then I probably do that so I can have the extra 8 or whatever hours of
I think that'd
life.
be awesome. But then again, I do really like sleeping.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of the same thing for eating too. Sometimes, like, I love eating. Like, I love food. Like, I love a good burger. But
it'd save you a ton of time if you didn't have to eat. But then you're missing out on
and money. Like,
like
it's such an inconvenience. Like, if I could just take a pill, that's probably sounds so bad and not eat. But like, I don't know.
Yeah, time and money, and then you'd miss out on the enjoyment of eating, and I feel kind of feel the same way with the sleeping.
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. Like, just think about everything you could be doing to make money while you're sleeping.
Oh yeah. I've always thought about if I could like clone myself, that would be so great.
Yeah.
Because then I could just have one clone who like works, and then one clone who enjoys life, or they both work, but they switch it off.
They take shifts.
Yeah,
think about for like long car rides. Like, you could just have your clone like driving. You could just be like reading a book or something in the passenger seat.
Yeah. if our minds were connected somehow, that would be even better.
That would be insane.
Yeah. So then like I can be reading the book while I'm also not reading the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if I don't have any podcast guests, I could just talk to myself.
Yeah.
I guess I could already do that.
Would you ever do a solo?
I've thought about it once or twice in like different formats. I remember like at the very beginning stages of starting up the podcast, my idea was for the first episode, I wanted to do an interview with myself and pretend that I wasn't myself. Like
that's a good idea. Like, would you change your voice too? Or?
I wasn't planning on changing my voice or anything, but I was just gonna like act like I was a different person, but answering my own questions.
I think you should do that. I would listen to it. I think that'd be cool. Because you're always the one interviewing someone else. No one's ever interviewing you.
Yeah. I didn't do that, thought about it, and then another couple formats I was thinking, like, I've got some like videos that I made over the years that are kind of more like educational, like persuasive, like argumentative, like speeches or like essays, basically. I could like take those and just kind of turn them in an audio format.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, it's like... Those basically already exist. Like the video already exists. I don't need to make it an audio only thing. So,
yeah, could work. You see a lot of like I feel like on social media I see a lot of like voiceover video stuff like on TikTok and stuff. I don't know. Maybe combining two mediums could be cool. Maybe
I'll do it at some point, but
yeah.
So back to your 5-year journey. Is there anything further after what
happened? I don't know. Basically I'm in Milwaukee playing in a band and still in the Guard, and
that's where you're at.
That's kind of where I'm at. I still play. Sometimes I'll bounce back and forth between Milwaukee and lacrosse and play bass for my old friends in lacrosse.
Okay.
It's also really convenient that my Guard unit is in lacrosse area.
Oh, okay.
So whenever I have to drive over there, like, I see those guys again. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. How long have you been playing guitar for?
Since like sophomore year of high school, but like there was probably a time in there where I didn't pick it up for a year. So kind of just I was very on and off in high school. Like, obviously beginning is like super intimidating and like it's just hard, and like if you don't see results, you're like, oh, this was boring. Like, I don't want to do this. But what like reignited that fire was playing with other people.
Oh, okay.
And that is the most fun thing I've ever done in my life, is playing with other people.
I've never really done that. I've played various musical instruments throughout my life, and I always was intimidated by the idea of being in a band. Like, I thought it was a cool idea and I wanted to do it, but also at the same time, I felt like, especially as a drummer, I felt like not good enough that I wouldn't like even want to do like a jam session because I feel like I would suck.
Yeah, I get that too. I understand that. Like, I've definitely went over to like a new friend's house that I met in some class, and we're like, we should jam sometime. And I do get that kind of anxiety of not being good enough. But what I've found is that what's cool about me playing guitar, I guess, is that I'm not even like really technically good. Like I just have like kind of my own style, and
Yeah.
I'm not like traditionally trained or anything. Like I kind of just have over the years made my own style that I think sounds cool, and I think other people think it sounds cool too. And I feel like finding your own style can like kind of substitute for being skillful
Right.
sometimes.
Yeah, I could see that. I guess I haven't found my own style musically
Do you
anyway.
still play the drums?
No, I so because like I have an apartment, so like
Oh yeah,
well,
electronic drums.
don't have electronic drum sets, and my drum set is just kind of sitting in my dad's house, all dusty. So I haven't played in years and years. But
Would you like to?
yeah, kind of miss it sometimes. It was pretty fun. We do have a little keyboard though, and I've never really been very good at piano, but mostly my girlfriend plays that. But so there's at least like some musical outlet though. I've
Yeah.
my whatever skills I once had have been drained so much by not playing that now it's discouraging because it's like, oh, now I got to relearn stuff that I already knew.
Yeah, but when you're relearning, what I've found is like you kind of just got to relearn the bare basics, like the bare bones, and then you take that wherever you want it, kind of like
Yeah.
you manipulate it to make it sound how you want it to, and it takes time and like just time with your instrument or whatever. There's a Jimi Hendrix quote. I don't remember it exactly, but he basically says that like true musical expression comes from someone who doesn't even know how to play the instrument, because they're not following like the technical scales and like
Yeah.
like what's technically good. They're just making sounds that sound good to them,
Right.
which is the beauty of music.
Yeah.
I think it's obviously awesome to be really great in an instrument, but like I think it's even cooler if you're not good at it and you can make it sound cool.
Yeah, it's for me it's just like I've always liked the idea of playing an instrument or like whether that be drums or guitar or whatever it is. Just haven't made the time for it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I do get it. Like it is intimidating to learn those basics, but like everything's on YouTube now.
That's
Like
true.
you
That's true.
it's not even talking about instruments. Like everything is on YouTube. Like me and Caden like figured out how to like do car maintenance and like everything is on YouTube. Like you
Yeah.
can literally something's broken in your house, look it up on YouTube. Something's wrong with your car, look it up on YouTube. Like I found that is a very good way to live. Like try to fix stuff and learn how to do stuff
Yeah.
on your own, because now there's no excuse to not. You have the whole internet.
Yeah.
Like literally everything is out there, and sometimes it's a 2-minute video.
Yeah. Before my car completely died, and I sold it, I did do that a few times. There's like a few things that I was fixing with it. Just looking up YouTube videos, no idea what I was doing.
So what exactly was wrong?
My car had a long history of problems. Look at like a year ago, like most recently that I remember, the muffler, the whole tube basically underneath the car. As I was driving to work one day, it fell off, and there was this like little clamp thing that was kind of holding it.
I know exactly.
So
what you're talking about.
it fell off, but it was still connected to this one clamp. So it was just hanging, scraping on the ground. So then there's this horrible noise. It was scraping. And I was like, what is this? So I looked underneath my car and just pulled that whole thing out, threw it away. So then after that, my car was just really loud.
You threw your whole muffler away?
It was detached and it was rusted completely. It was just completely destroyed. I did get some. My friend gave me some of this it's like liquid.
Like rust cleaner? Or...
No, not rust cleaner. It's like a cement. I don't remember what it's called, but it's this stuff that you basically use to adhere things together, like
rubber cement.
Rubber cement, something like that. Yeah.
But
You would spread it on, and then it dries, and it just turns into cement, basically.
Okay.
You put that on the pipe to reattach it, even though it's just completely fucked up.
Did you look it up? How to fix it?
That part I didn't do. I just threw it away because I was like, what? Get rid of this muffler.
If you said that to Caden, he'd be angry. Do never tell Caden that you did that. But yeah, I guarantee you could have looked it up. It would have been a $5 part at O'Reilly's, and probably just another one of those clamp things. You just stick it right back.
Maybe. I mean, You've seen the
Anyways,
state of that giant tube.
yeah,
It was like 6 feet long and
intimidating probably.
Totally rusted it.
So your car is super loud.
It was
now.
super loud for like 4 months, and I was like, whatever, it's drivable. And then it stops working.
Like,
I was
doesn't.
I was trying to
on.
start it one day, just wouldn't start. So then I was going through different steps to try and fix that. Like replacing the battery. So that's one thing you gotta like go onto YouTube for is like how to get this freaking battery out of the terminal in this PT Cruiser where it's like,
oh god,
it's like jammed into this horrible position where you gotta really finesse it out of there. You replace the battery with a new one, still doesn't start, and then I had to like try and jumpstart it through various methods that didn't work, and then tried to like replace some stuff, and then go into the fuses because like maybe the fuses were all, like the ignition fuse was broken or something. Maybe that was the problem. To replace those, did not work, and eventually my car was just sitting there for like 2 months in my parking lot doing nothing, not startable. So I sold it. That's why I've been biking.
Yeah, sometimes it's unfixable on your own.
Yeah. But then, before that, there was other problems like broken lights in the back that you had like
taillight.
Taillights would like pop out, and like all the sorts of stuff like changing your oil, and
that is one thing me and Caden got really good at.
How to change your tires for the first time and then many tire problems over the years with that car too. Get flats all the time.
I drive a similar car to the PT Cruisers. I drive a Scion XD, which is also like a compact car, and I find it really nice in the city for like parking and like parallel parking and stuff. It's like a little city go-kart. Like it's the best. Like I've always wanted like a truck or like a 4Runner or something, but like I don't know, I feel like that would be such a pain having in Milwaukee.
Yeah. One thing I really liked about the PT Cruiser was that the car ends right where the like back window is. So like when you're backing up.
Oh, is it a straight? Okay.
Yeah. So it's like just wherever your car like wherever your window that you're looking out of ends, that's just where your car is. So you don't have to like, okay, do I have like three extra feet hanging off the car?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I guess we were talking a little bit about the band life and making music and stuff, but I feel like you had a different angle of what you wanted to talk about with being in a band.
Yeah. So what I've found is it's not what a lot of people like tend to think, where it's like, oh, you practice once a week, you jam out, you have fun, you write music, and it's all, fun and easy. That is not the case. Like, first of all, creative differences in a band with 5 people is tough. And it's even crazier because all 5 of us have the most similar music taste ever. We all love the same bands. We're all listening, the slack rock, slowcore, shoegaze, like these niche music genres is like what we all like really like, and we all have very similar tastes. And yet, even then, we still have so many creative differences. Like, it's crazy. Like when it comes to songwriting, like I think we should do this here, and even when it comes to songs that we want to cover, just to fill up a set list. And it is part of it, there being 5 of us, because like obviously the more people, the more opinions get thrown in. But like
too many cooks in the kitchen.
Exactly, yeah. But that's normal.
Yeah.
Like that's something that all bands deal with. And that's something you just got to get used to and learn how to deal with. And
how do you think most bands, at least maybe like most big bands that like get successful, like deal with that? Do you think there gets a point where like there's somebody who's more in charge over the
you kind of do need
creative direction?
Sometimes you kind of need someone to like be the like facilitator that takes control,
because I feel like, at least from an audience perspective, there's definitely always in a band the person who's the face, or like
like the front man,
usually like the lead singer, who seems like they are the person who's in charge, but maybe that's not the case.
No, and like, obviously every band is different, and there are probably a lot of bands where it's like the Jimi Hendrix Experience, where it's his band.
He is in control. Everybody's just playing the songs.
Or like or just like bands where it's like there's one front man and everyone's kind of just filling in, doing stuff that the front man writes or whatever wants them to do. But a lot of bands like us are all kind of bringing stuff to the table and all have different ideas. And yeah, sometimes it's just, we fight a lot. Not fight, but like, it's like there'll be nights that end or practices that end where like, like just frustrated with someone because it's like, I don't, maybe someone wants to write another part and you're like, I don't think it needs another part. Like it's good. Just stuff like that,
Yeah. I don't know if this would be like a good idea as far as practicality goes, but you could try kind of doing Taylor Swift's thing of like she's got like 7 different editions of a song.
Right.
There's
True.
Like, so you could like write a song and then if somebody likes some different stuff here, just record it that way or play it that way and then play it a different way and then I guess that would cost more money and eat up studio time, but then you can have your Spotify like album and it's like this song Kendall's version, this song Keenan's version.
That is
like
kind of a good idea. Yeah, you could also just release like the different, like you pick like the best version that everyone kind of agrees is the best, and then you could release like home recorded demos of other versions too. Like I always like the idea of releasing like home recorded demo stuff that doesn't necessarily make it onto the produced piece. A lot of those like differences, it's not even only creative differences either. It's like opinions on where we should record, opinions on if we should be looking for shows right now or we should be writing right now, or it's everything. Yeah. Every little decision, someone's gonna disagree. It's actually crazy. Like I can't, and we've been a band for a year. We're still figuring it out. Whatever. There's no stakes. There's no money on the line. I cannot imagine being in a big band where you're making, $1,000 decisions. Like, man, that's stressful. And then
having to decide, like, are we all just getting paid equally from these gigs, or is somebody going to get paid more because, like, maybe they contributed more? Like,
yeah, and then everyone's like, oh, like, this person left the band, what a hothead, but, like, or, stuff like that, but there's so much that goes into it. Like, it's like a relationship. You got to be, like, very understanding of everyone else, and
it's like a polyamorous
exactly. Well, not exactly, but it's sometimes it can be hard, but in the end it's really cool that it's like a bunch of people coming together with a common enemy, and that common enemy is to make something good. And that's awesome. It's so fulfilling when you finish something.
Oh, no, I definitely feel that. Like, for the longest time, and even now in my life, I get these moments where it's like I've got some project or some goal, like creative endeavor that I'm, like, working on but not finishing it. And then there's some of those that just happens, like, oh, no, it's not good enough yet, it's not good enough yet, or whatever it is. But then when I finally actually have one that's complete, that feeling of, like, that is done, and, like, I produced something, I have some proof of a thing that I did,
and
great.
It's I feel like part of why it's so satisfying too is because you start it and you don't finish it and you fumble with it for a long time and you're like, it frustrates you. And then when you finally figure it out over a long time, you're like, finally, like I can finally like just put it out there and start doing something else. Like, how many half-written songs we have that we fumble with at practice for months. I mean, there's songs that we still play around with that we kind of started jamming when we first started, and we probably will keep playing them for however long we're a band for, that we just won't figure out, and that hurts. That sucks. But like if you do once in a while like figure something out that you've been working with for a long time, that's such a good feeling.
Is that like, I don't know, is that everybody agreeing that, oh no, this song's not ready yet, or like it's not done yet, or is that also a difference of opinion kind of thing where some people think it is ready to go out?
Exactly. That's we're actually kind of struggling with something like that right now, where we have a song that I think is perfect and it's done. But Sam, our bass player, he's like, no, dude, it's not even close. Like it, and it's just, I don't know, differing opinion.
How have you guys been resolving those differences so far? Like,
we've got
majority rules or something like that?
Kinda, yeah. Majority rules. Like, even if I'm wrong and everyone, or like I disagree and everyone else is like, no, we got to do it this way. You just got to bite the bullet sometimes and be like, yeah, We're right, like this, we're in a band together, you know, like
Yeah.
when we're getting really good at that now, where we're like kind of starting to really understand what it's like to, you know, coexist with each other in this creative space. But man, at first sometimes it gets heated, you know, because and everyone's so passionate about it too, where everyone obviously wants the best out of it.
Yeah.
And if someone else has an opinion that clashes with yours where you don't think it's going to be the best, that sucks so much, so much, because your name's going to be on it, you know, like you're associated with it. You don't want to put something out that you're not proud of, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of like simultaneously the best case and the worst case when everybody involved in the thing is passionate about it. Mm-hmm. Because obviously with all that passion and every single member being invested, you're going to get, well, you have the potential of getting like the best result.
Yeah.
But then you've got even stronger clashes where like, yeah, in those cases, if it's like one front man and everybody else is just playing the music, you might not have that same sort of energy involved in the actual music when it's just like the rest of the people are just, you know, getting their paychecks.
Yeah, exactly. And we have songs like that where like I feel like for every one song that everyone's like all like, this song's awesome, it's done, it's the best, there's probably 6 or 7
just like one person
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was almost in a band. Well, I was in a band. We just never played anything.
Really?
In like the 7th grade.
There you go.
There was, I think, it was like a school talent
show.
No, not School of Rock.
You know what that is,
yeah.
though? Like where you like join the thing and they like just put you in a band with other kids that join.
Yeah. Never did that. Did you?
No, but Keenan did.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. But I was in band class. That doesn't really count as much. That's like, you know, 30, 40 people, and I was just one of the percussion players. But no, like I was in a band for like a month, and we would have practices together where we would like write songs, or like try to write songs anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't practice actually playing the songs very much, and then we were like planning on playing on a talent show, and it just didn't happen.
Oh.
It's like,
do you ever like wish that it did? Like look back and you're like, oh, it would have been so awesome.
It would have been cool, but I think all of us were just like too full of like self-doubt in our abilities anyway. So it was like, let's try and make a band, but none of us were actually confident enough to make it happen.
Yeah, that first show, for the first time doing something publicly that, you know, maybe it's new, that you're not experienced with, like, that is very scary.
Yeah. What was that like? Was it at your own place, or did you have
No, it was at Chiba Hut.
Oh, you had a first, that's kind of cool.
First show was at Chiba Hut, yeah. So it was for like Emma was putting on like an Unpacked, like legalized weed kind of event thing. Yeah. We threw down at Chiba Hut. It was awesome. I think we played like a 10-minute set. And we opened for Scam Likely, which is like one of the biggest bands in Milwaukee, and they're awesome. And like for that to be our first show, it was really cool.
So is that like one of the first times you were playing in front of a crowd of people? Or
that was the first.
That was the very first time.
Yeah. And other than like sometimes we'll have like parties at our house, and we'll all be, you know, drinking, and we'll pick up the instruments and people, you know, be up like watching us. But if you count that, but I don't really think that. Okay. It's basically like we're just jamming out or practicing, and other people are there. But yeah, that was our first like organized like come see us thing.
It was a free show, or did you get money off of that?
Yeah, it was a free show, but we got paid for it because Unpacked was putting it on, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's like a, how would you describe it? Like a political... It's
like a get out the vote, like
get out the
convincing
vote
people to be politically engaged.
Yeah, so Unpacked like paid us to be there, but it was free for anyone who wanted to come.
Gotcha, yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool.
And now actually we have you heard of the Washroom?
I feel like I have.
Is
that like somebody's basement?
Yes, it's a DIY basement venue in Milwaukee. It's awesome. It's gets sold out they do probably like 1 or 2 shows a month. It sells out every time. It's right by campus, probably because like all the freshmen like walk there, pay $10, you know, can get drunk or whatever and go down there. And it's just something to do also, but it's so fun and I love it. And that was one of the first like things I found when I moved here was the Washroom. Like I'd be like, yeah, let's go watch some live music here. they always have good bands there, and I remember thinking like, wow, like doesn't seem like much because it's just a basin, but I was like, oh, it would be so cool to play here. Like all these bands that play here are so good. And now we have our washroom show scheduled for November 25th. So like a month away.
That's pretty cool. First time playing there?
Yeah, first time playing there, and like I just know it's gonna be awesome. Like it's like it was a very like it was a good like I remember saying like I want to play here within the next like year of us being in a band, and now it's like happening.
Yeah,
you know, like it's not a huge goal, but like
no,
it was
it's
big
cool,
for me
though.
at the time. Like starting out, it did seem huge. Like I don't know, this is really cool.
So when you say the washroom gets sold out, how many people do you think? You had a ballpark?
So I actually know exactly because I've been paid to work the door there.
Oh,
I think it's 140. They can fit 140.
I feel like that's a lot of people.
It is. It's ass to mouth down there. And you always walk away with like a cough. Some frat flu. It's gross, but that's part of the experience. Yeah. Since they've been doing it for a while now, like it's been improving because they're making money. They're bringing money in, and I don't know, like I've just noticed like they're getting like new signs on the walls, and like now they're paying a sound guy to be there.
Oh, it's getting more and more legit.
Yeah, like they got like this crazy like professional PA system, and like the sound down there is just like getting better and better, which
that's cool.
Super cool.
So I guess for shows like that, and just in general, I'm kind of always wondering about the logistics of things. Like, I'm guessing you bring your own instruments, but do you have to bring your own sound stuff? Like bring your own speakers? Or do they have those?
So usually bands will bring like their own amps because that's very like your amp affects like your tone and how you sound. Like you'll tweak your amp settings to make it how you want it to sound. So a lot of like especially guitar players want their own amps and stuff, but bass players a lot of the time won't bring their own amp just because it's such like a low frequency and there's not much. I mean, there's a lot of different like variety and tonality you can have in bass, but like not really compared to guitar. And like because like it does kind of blend in with kind of the background sometimes and a lot of like the music that's being played at the washroom and a lot of these like punky kind of sounding music shows. A lot of the time like whatever band that's playing that night has the biggest bass amp will just bring theirs and like everyone will use it. And then same with the drum kit. Whoever's got like the best kit, they'll bring the drum kit, and then each individual drummer will bring their breakables. That's called like their cymbals and their snare, like basically the stuff that breaks the most.
Do people actually break cymbals that often?
You'd be surprised. Like
maybe I haven't been going hard enough on mine, but I've
never
broken my cymbals.
Yeah, they get chipped and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you buy nice cymbals and stuff, they'll last you long, but like eventually, it might crack or chip.
I guess it makes sense for like how annoying it would be to change out a drum set all the time, but I'm kind of surprised because I feel like playing on a different drum set's going to change your sound a lot too.
For sure. And sometimes like while bands are setting up, the drummer will like tune the drumming. Like, I don't really know how that works, but to more fit their sound.
Yeah. You got the drum head is like the different tightness is going to change the pitch of the drum.
Okay.
And also the diameter too. So if you're playing on somebody else's drum set, you might not even be able to achieve your same sound at all if they have a different diameter tom-tom than you're used to.
Yeah.
So like.
Yeah, and like if you show up and it's like super different, you're kind of just screwed. Like there's really not much you can do.
Yeah. I remember like I don't know. I've seen a few live shows where I feel like the lack of the band having like all their own stuff, like whether it's maybe their sound settings are just right or their own instruments or whatnot, has really fucked up their whole sound.
Oh yeah.
I saw Angels and Airwaves a few years back, and they were playing with Cage the Elephant, and Cage the Elephant sounded great, but Angels and Airwaves sounded like totally off from what they've sounded like at other concerts, and especially what they sound like recorded. And it just seemed like the whole setup that they were given at the concert was not at all like conducive to the vibe that the band has. Yeah,
it's stressful because I don't know. Have you ever seen us play? Like
I've seen you guys like jam, but I haven't like gone to like a set.
So have you seen like our pedal boards? They're called that.
I don't. I don't know.
It's basically this big chain of audio effects that we spend way too much money on, and each pedal goes into each other, and you plug your guitar into the pedal, the pedal plugs into the next one, and then it eventually runs out into your amp. And each one of these pedals does a different thing. Like, it'll make it like sound like from clean to like super fuzzy, or add reverb or atmosphere to your sound or whatever. The more pedals you have, the more things that can go wrong are. And in our case, Chase and I both have huge pedal boards. And so we actually played a show at Bremen, and everything was so messed up. It was like just from like moving it and stuff. And we were like right in front of the crowd. So the crowd was like, they were moshing and stuff, and they were falling on my pedal board, like moving our knobs and stuff. So like it didn't even sound anything like. It was crazy. It was craziness. It was chaos. And that's like super stressful too. Yeah. Like I remember like everyone came up after, like, you guys sounded awesome, whatever. And Chase was like defeated because all his settings were messed up. He's like, this, like it didn't sound anything like how we practiced or anything, just because, you know, his thing kept coming unplugged. Like nothing was working. All his settings were messed up, and it like it in his eyes, even though he's playing the same notes and everything, just ruined the whole show.
Even if the audience enjoyed it, he knows what it's supposed to sound like. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
exactly.
That sucks.
It does suck. Yeah,
it's kind of funny though.
It is funny.
Interactive band performance unintentionally.
Yeah, it's something that you like kind of got to get used to though. Now we expect stuff like that to happen. So it was funny. I was like standing like my back to the audience, like protecting my my board, and you can just, there's videos of us and you can just tell that we're like visibly kind of annoyed like that people are, you know, flopping all over the place on our stuff. So
yeah, that's silly. So one other subject that we haven't touched on yet, but I know you wanted to talk about was like the appeal of thrifting, because
that's like a total turn.
Yeah, but it is an abrupt turn. But I know that you've been making some money selling some clothes. So I guess first off, like, what got you into that, and how long have you been doing that?
Yeah, I always grew. My dad, he's always been kind of a cheapskate, like bargain hunter. Like would always be looking for the good deal, and would always like barter with people and negotiate, and like, you know, kind of like that kind of. And basically, we as a kid, I would just bum around with him, and we'd hit thrift stores and rummage sales and stuff, just like to look for cool stuff. Like not even looking for anything in particular, just going, because sometimes you could find something really cool for like 50 cents, you know?
Yeah.
And it got to a point where he started to make like a lot of money off doing it, because he started his eBay page back in like probably like 2010 or 2011. I just watched him, you know, like find a Harley Davidson t-shirt at a rummage sale and then go home and put it on the internet for like $85 and it'll sell it within 2 hours. Wow. Like, and it got to a point where he was funding like family vacations by doing this.
That's crazy.
It was awesome. And he's a firefighter too, so he works like 2 days on, like he'll work through the night. And then he'll have like 4 days off. So then he would just use those. He's a lot like me. He can't like stay still. He's always got to be doing something. And he uses these 4 days to like go thrifting or whatever and look for treasures. It's funny because his name on eBay is 4 Day Finds too. It kind of works. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. And then one day I was in high school. I was probably like a freshman or sophomore. I was pretty young. And I remember looking in my closet and being like, I have so many clothes just from like going with my dad and like just getting random stuff that I thought looked cool. So I'm like, I kind of just want to get rid of it. So I started this Instagram page called Kendall's Vintage. And like all my friends from high school, like a bunch of people from my high school and kind of surrounding high schools eventually kind of started to follow it. And I would just post pictures of random stuff with a price under it. And then people would DM me and be like, I want this. And then I'd be like, all right, do you want me to drop it off? Because that's like a $5 delivery fee. And it got to a point where I'd be bringing like 2 backpacks and a duffel bag to school every day. And I was walking around with this big wad of cash just from kids buying stuff from me. I would drive out to like, have you been to Fox Valley at all? It's like, there's like a bunch of schools in a small area. Oh, okay. And I was like, I had like the whole Appleton North crowd in. I had all of Appleton East, and I went to Kimberly. So I had like all these different high schools, and I would always just have people like grabbing stuff out of my mailbox and leaving cash, and my mom always thought it was weird. She's like, you could be selling anything, and I wouldn't even know. Because it was weird. Like, people would just show up, grab a sweatshirt out of my mailbox, and leave like a $10 bill or whatever.
Just leave like the stuff you're selling in
yeah,
the
like
mailbox.
Like if I was gone or something, I'd be like, all right, I'll leave it in the mailbox. Like,
that's pretty trusting. I was kind of surprised people follow through and leave the cash.
I mean, I know who they are. Oh, okay. You know, like they're DMing me with their personal Instagram. Gotcha. But none of this could have been possible with the opening of the Goodwill outlet in Appleton in 2013, I want to say.
So before that, there wasn't a Goodwill?
There's Goodwill, normal Goodwills, but do you know what a Goodwill outlet is?
No.
So they bring out these big blue bins, like on wheels, and they're filled with all the clothes that doesn't sell at the normal Goodwills. Oh, okay. So like all the Goodwills in like the Midwest would like send all their stuff that didn't sell to this Goodwill, and you would just go through these piles of clothes, and you'd buy them for like $1.09 per pound and it was awesome. Because there wasn't many outlets at the time, and I was lucky enough where one opened up in my hometown. So me and my dad were like, we started to hit that like religiously, like, and it was at a time where he would make a lot of money on hats back then. I remember, like, because it's something that a lot of people collect. Okay. But now they don't even bring out like, it's just gotten worse, and now everyone knows about it, and it's all picked through, and it's super competitive, and there's a billion other guys doing the same exact thing, looking for the same stuff as you, and so, but now it's all just part of the game, kind of like.
Have you like talked to your dad? Do you know if like he's had more trouble making money, or like has he made less money than in those earlier days? Has like gotten harder and harder, or has he managed to?
It basically competition. It stays pretty consistent if you keep working at it. Like if you keep going and keep posting, you'll keep making like it really is like you'll make as much money as much you want to work. Like you gotta, if you put in the hours, you'll make the money. Yeah. Because back in the day when no one was really doing it, he would get all the good stuff. So he would make a lot of money because he was getting all the good stuff. But then more people started doing it. He would get less stuff, but then there was more people looking for that stuff. Yeah. So it kind of stayed steady, and like in the past 5 years, like secondhand clothes or like the thrifted, like vintage aesthetic has just gotten like so popular. Yeah.
One thing I don't understand is the popularity of Carhartt. Like,
oh my god!
I used to work at Gander Mountain. They're just we'd sell Carhartt. And now it's like people are paying more than we used to sell it for at the store.
Yeah, I'm guilty for that.
Just to look like they're a carpenter.
Yeah. No, it's weird. It's workwear. It's that workwear aesthetic. I'm so guilty of it. I mean, look, I think these are Carhartt.
Oh yeah, you got the Carhartts on right now.
Yeah, I don't know why it's desirable either. It just is. It's one of those weird trends. It's like, I don't know. It's
so being a person who is selling like vintage clothes, that doesn't like provide you any insight on why these things become popular in the first place. Do you notice like trends and where they come from?
Yeah, for sure. It always changes, obviously, and I can kind of see a lot of it like right now, like super baggy pants are in. Yeah. Baggy Y2K. Like early 2000s fashion is in because, it's like a nostalgic time for a lot of the people who are, in the eye of the public now, like the cool, like, the Gen Xers or whatever. Yeah. Or Gen Z, or I don't know what is it? What are
Maybe millennials, I think.
No, millennials are out of style now.
I'm
talking about like the cool young people.
They wouldn't have experienced the 2000s then. You know, the Gen Zers, they'd be like 4.
True. But it was like
nostalgia for what their parents are wearing.
Well, and like the cool kids at that time when you were
or like the movies maybe they were watching.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I always remember when I was younger, like my babysitter had like the coolest clothes ever, you know, like stuff like that. And also it has to do with like music too. Okay. Like whatever music's in, or even pop culture as a whole, like whatever's in the clothes like completely reflects, obviously.
Yeah.
But the workwear, the Carhartt thing, that's something that's hard to explain. It's like,
yeah, I wonder where that one comes from.
It's like utility, like very functional. Like I don't know, I guess like for some reason I've always thought like old school like mechanics looked cool.
Really? Okay.
You know, like just like overall beat up overall. Yeah. Like, and I think that's a common experience that a lot of people have. Like a lot of people think that's like a cool Americana, hard working blue collar look. And it's like cool.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know why. But it's also it's kind of the same effect that like old military clothes has too, because that's another really hot thing that's always sells is like Vietnam era like pants. Like standard issue pants and stuff. And it's like it's cool because like you look at the old pictures of it and they look so cool and badass and you want to look like that. Maybe.
All right.
Maybe that's the appeal.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, that kind of seems to happen. I'm not somebody who's super in tune with fashion trends ever, but even I noticed that these things kind of come in cycles. Like there's always stuff that comes back like 20 years later for whatever reason, or I guess in that case 60 years later.
Yeah. Do you like it? Do you think the in style thing right now, do you think it's cool?
Or
do you think it's goofy?
I don't know. Some of the styles that are going on right now, like the baggy pants that are like, you know, the super wide legs, like I kind of hate those, to be honest. But
really,
they're
like the Jinkos and stuff. Oh, I think those are so sweet. I mean, skateboarding fashion too is like skateboarding has a huge effect on fashion, especially within the last like 15 years.
Yeah.
And that like baggy Jinko like. That's directly comes from skate fashion.
Okay. Yeah, I was definitely a skater as a kid, and I was into the skate fashion of the time. But that was back then was more like skinny jeans almost.
Yeah, what year was it? Like more like 2000.
Like 2000, like 10, 2000, around that time.
Yeah, kind of more of like a early Tumblr.
Yeah.
Not even. I wouldn't even say that.
Huge. Shoes that like
the Osiris.
Yeah, Osiris. I had some Osirises. Yeah,
the new Osirises I think are really sweet.
I haven't seen the new ones.
I used to be like you. I remember thinking like, oh, these kids with the baggy pants and like the tap out t-shirts and like the beanie on and like they just look so like punky and trashy and now I'm wearing that stuff and it's just like I think it's cool, but I would have never thought I would have ever wore anything like that. Like I would have thought like that it's if I would have shown my younger self what I'm wearing right now, I would have thought I would like this like just super weird.
Yeah. I feel like my style has not changed at all. I've just been wearing basics, what Emma calls normcore.
Don't you ever just get bored of that?
Well, okay, so it's like kind of like your dad, I guess. I'm cheap, but in the way that I just don't want to spend any money on clothes.
Yeah.
So it's like my closet isn't very big, and I don't know. I also don't want to spend like that much time thinking about what to wear today.
You also don't like really care necessarily?
Yeah, not really.
Okay. See, I'm not like that in the sense where if I pick out an outfit for the day that I am not really feeling, I'll like automatically have like kind of an off day. Really? Like it's just a bad start to my day, I guess. It's weird. I don't know. I find it like a very expressive thing.
No, I can see that. Yeah. It seems like most people do.
Yeah.
They try to express themselves through their clothing.
Do you think you ever could get into it, or do you think it's kind of a lost cause at this point?
I don't know. Maybe like if I got into a position where I was like
being perceived heavily.
Or I guess like if I was some public figure or like maybe like making a lot of money, I was like,
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my current state, I don't see that happening.
I mean, hey, it's a good time for a cheapskate to get into fashion with.
That's true with the popular thrifting for sure. Yeah. I mean, okay, do you think because this is something I've been hearing about from various people that I know, that like the gentrification of like thrifting, do you think prices of like thrift stores such as like Goodwill or like St. Vincent de Paul or whatnot, or like Antiques on Pierce, that's a more local one, like have they been going up over time?
Yeah, it's ridiculous now. I mean, like there's this thrift store in my hometown that now they just like understand, like they know what people are like reselling this stuff for, and like now their prices are like straight up like what you would see it on eBay for.
Yeah, trying to cut out the middleman and just be the resellers.
Yep. Yeah, and it sucks, but there's also some other weird things with that too, where it's like thrift stores are there for people who can't afford retail clothes at the mall or whatever, and that is kind of a problem.
That kind of is fucked up a little bit when like Goodwill is supposed to be for serving poor people.
Yeah.
And if they're going to mark up their prices because people are reselling, then who's serving the poor people?
Exactly. And reselling isn't necessarily, I don't think, unethical. And because first of all, you're not supporting the production of new clothes, and that's obviously a huge environmental concern,
right?
When it comes to like use of water and just like bad labor conditions and stuff, like,
and just the amount of textiles that just go to waste, like H&M and like Shein, like every year there's just like landfills of just unsold clothes.
Is horrible. And like the quality of that stuff is horrible. And like when you find a good vintage shirt, like it's old, but they're like they don't make them like they used to, like,
no, that's true.
They last they're really good,
an H&M shirt, which might last
for sure.
1 year.
Yeah, it's in that sense, it's like very green and ethical.
Oh yeah.
And I more think that raising the prices at thrift stores isn't necessarily the reseller's fault, but more Goodwill's fault, because I used to work for Goodwill myself, and I think Goodwill's evil.
Yeah.
That might be a hot take, but like I know like Emma and Caden used to work for Goodwill, it leaves a weird taste in my mouth. They are getting everything for free.
Right.
You got to think about
it's just donations.
It's 100% profit, other than paying
their workers. Yeah.
But their workers a lot of the time are special needs, which means that.
Do they like government subsidy or something?
Well, when I worked there, at least the special needs people that would work there would be like volunteers.
Wait, so they're not even paying them?
No. And I know some of them like are getting paid, but the one at the time that I was working at, like there was special needs people who were not getting paid.
Why are they?
Because they were volunteer. I don't know. And like, it's just weird that that's like kind of their business model is like helping those people, but they're kind of exploiting them a little bit.
Yeah, I did not know about that.
It's bizarre. It's weird, and just the way they like run those stores is like ridiculous too. Like, it's just very strict, and it's like, it's just a capitalist, obviously, like it's honestly the perfect business model, like selling shit that you get for free. Like, like that's awesome. But they're like, I don't know, it's just weird. And like, you're selling garbage, really, at the end of the day. Why is like a normal t-shirt like $12 there? Like, that's ridiculous. Like that's the average price of probably like a t-shirt there now is like around $10 to $12.
It is kind of just weird because like they used to presumably be making money just fine when they were selling stuff for $1.
Exactly.
And then they notice other people are making money, so they're going to make more, even though they're already doing just fine. Like,
and the other thing is when I worked there is now they added like an e-commerce bin in the sorting room where you would like sort like, oh, like t-shirts go over here, whatever. If a customer would bring in something that seemed like it would be worth a lot of money, you would throw it in the e-commerce bin. So someone brings in Xbox, they would put it in the e-commerce bin. What they would do with the e-commerce bin is they would sell it online. They wouldn't even put it on the floor. They'd sell it online for like way more. So like, it just makes me mad. And they'll do that with clothes too. Like when they see certain brands come through, they'll throw it in the e-commerce bin.
That's like the good brand, or like the one people really like.
Oh, someone donates a Louis Vuitton bag or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Wait, so did you quit Goodwill just because you hated working there and it was like evil, or was there a different reason?
honestly, I quit there because I was just like working a shift there one day. I was like 15 years old, and I'm like, I'm so bored right now.
Oh.
I should just walk out and never come back. That's exactly what I did, which I regret doing because that's never a good thing to do.
Yeah,
and I will never do it. Yeah, I'll never do it ever again. But
I just feel like for somebody like you who is already like selling vintage clothes, it'd be a great job because then you can kind of maximize your time or like double up. Like you're getting paid to work there, and at the same time you're scoping out, and like you can be scoping out like, oh, I should just buy this later and resell it. Like,
well, they had a rule where employees had to wait for something to be on the floor for 3 days.
Oh, okay.
Until you could buy it.
Was there any employee discounts?
Yeah, I think it was like 10%. Honestly, I think it was higher than that. I think it was pretty good actually. I think it was closer to 20. What I would do is like, like how like the racks have like 2 rows right next to each other.
You would hide stuff
in the middle of those 2 rows. Like there was like a bar where I would have like 15, 20 shirts. Like when I'm putting stuff out on the floor, I'd just sneak it in there. And then if I didn't want to wait the 3 days, I'd just have like my dad come in and
that's
buy
a great
it. I'd
idea.
be like, go in aisle 7 in the middle of the, like under the clothes rack. You'll see my stash. I actually did it with an electric guitar once.
I've never seen an electric guitar at Goodwill.
Well, someone drives in, they drop off a guitar. I was super tight with this old lady that would price everything. I brought it to her. I was like, can you throw like $4 on this thing? I was supposed to put it in the e-commerce bin. And then I just like slid it behind a shelf and had like my buddy Tyler come in and just buy it right away. Like, honestly, if I didn't quit, I probably would have gotten fired for doing stuff like that anyways. So
was that the guitar that you started with? Or was that just
No.
Okay.
It was wasn't anything crazy. It was still like a good like $200 guitar, but it was still like a beginner guitar. It was like a Squire. Like,
did you keep that because you thought it was cool? Or did you resell it?
I actually traded it to one of my friends for another guitar.
Oh, okay.
Which I still have.
Yeah, why is it? I guess I can get some of it, but like, it just seems kind of crazy to me how many people drop things off at Goodwill or wherever, or like leave them on the side of the road when they could totally make money off of these things by reselling them. Like, I was taking a walk the other day, or like last week or so, and there's like a perfectly good couch somebody just puts out, and they could make, at the very least, you could make $50 on Facebook Marketplace for sure, like for very little effort.
I mean, a lot of it too is like people just like they don't want to deal with it. Like, I just want to get rid of it. Like, I don't give a shit. I just want it out of my living room. I'm getting a new one. Like, stuff like that. It's like, I agree though. I'll never be someone like that. I'll always try to make a buck out of anything I'm trying to get rid of.
Yeah. It's just, and then like dropping the stuff off Goodwill. I've dropped some stuff off Goodwill. So I guess I am guilty of it in some cases, but it's always been clothes that are really old.
Hey, I drop stuff off at Goodwill too. The stuff that I get that I'm sitting on for a while that never sells. Put it back into the cycle.
Right.
Let someone else get it. Yeah, people drop off like really good stuff without trying to, make a buck or whatever, which is kind of silly. But on the contrary to that, people will bring in literal garbage.
Yeah.
Like garbage. Which I understand, like, sucks for Goodwill that they have to like go through sorting that and stuff,
Maybe just for Goodwill because that's your experience, but like, what is the process there? It's completely subjective. Like whoever's sorting it just decides if it's garbage or not.
No, there's like a baby clothes bin, and then like you like sort it. Like t-shirts go in this bin, like decorations go in this bin, whatever, and then it goes to someone and they have like this whole like criteria of how to price something where it goes by like brand, condition, all this stuff, and that's kind of more up to whoever's pricing that day.
So you like a broken N64 in, you still sell that? Just label it broken?
I don't really remember. I feel like if something like that came in, we would still put it out.
Yeah.
But I mean, we there was like outlets and stuff that you could like try plugging stuff into, and but I would never really buy an electronic from there anyways, which is stupid because I feel like a lot of good electronics come through. I just never look for them, but maybe I'll start.
With what you've been selling, is it all clothes or mostly clothes? Or like...
Mostly clothes, shoes, and hats. I want to really get into, it's funny because I just said I never look for any electronics, but I want to start getting into buying and fixing speakers and selling them. Because me and Kaden, my roommate, found out that they're like pretty simple.
Oh, really?
And like soldering is like not as hard as a lot of people think. A lot of people will buy, or a lot of people, first of all, just give away speakers that are blown or broken. And they're pretty easy to repair, like rewire, clean up, refoam or whatever. And you can flip those for crazy amounts too. And it's cool. Like, yeah. I love music. Like, I have a pretty kick-ass speaker system myself, and I love that stuff. So
it sounds like a useful skill too to learn how to fix those up.
Also because like that could translate into like wiring like amps and like guitars, and like that would prevent me from spending even more money on that stuff by like taking it in when it's broken. Yeah, that'd be cool.
How do you track, or do you track like money that you're making on things? Because I imagine if you're buying a bunch of stuff and then maybe you're not selling, or you're selling some of it right away, but some of it you're sitting on for a while, and maybe you sell eventually. Like, how do you know if you've actually turned a profit on these things? Do you keep those spreadsheets?
Well, I really should, but I go to the bins, and this is buying stuff for like by the pound, so I know that I'm getting a lot of like these t-shirts for less than $1. Oh,
okay.
So I mean, maybe for like a heavier leather jacket, it might be like closer to $10 or something, or $8, but like I don't know, I kind of just guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
because that's one thing I feel like a lot of people, especially when it's like along the lines of the kind of multi-level marketing schemes, which is definitely not what you're doing, but it's just what I was thinking of. Like people who are like they're buying and selling a product, and then they think they're making money, and then it turns out that they're actually not. They're actually losing money on it.
Yeah, I take hits sometimes. Like if there's something, I realized once, like I sold something on Depop, and which is like a app and website for reselling clothes. Sold something on there, and I realized that it costed more for me to ship it than what I sold it for. And that was like when I first started doing that, and I offered free shipping because they would say like, oh, it's twice as likely to sell if you offer free shipping. So I was like, oh, I'll do that. And then I realized I kind of started losing money, or making like $1 or $2 on something when it's like I shouldn't, So I started charging people for shipping. Eventually, you live and you learn with that.
Yeah.
But that's been awesome. Depop is.
Yeah, I've never used it, but I've definitely heard a lot about it. It seems like it's exploded in popularity.
It's awesome.
Thrifting.
I mean, you can just find like awesome stuff for cheap on there, and you can also sell garbage on there, and people will buy it.
Yeah. Have you made a lot of money like doing this?
Yeah, when I first really got into it, I was like the most into it, but now like with school right now, my schedule's pretty busy, and I haven't been able to do it as much as I want. But I mean, I've been able to get along pretty well without having like an actual job. Like obviously I get the army checks and stuff, but like I've paid rent with it a couple times, and that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is like I keep some stuff too, like, and I get to wear it and feel cool. And like another thing is like I will, if I get something cool, I'll add it to my own wardrobe, and then I'll get rid of like 2 other things because I just got something new. So I kind of always have like a revolving wardrobe that's constantly evolving with the times, which is awesome too.
That definitely kind of would, because you were asking me if I would change like my style or not. Like I feel like that is a method that would definitely help with that, because then you're not really like spending the money on your wardrobe. You're kind of making money on changing your own wardrobe.
Exactly.
So, That is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay, this is something I was thinking a while back, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on it. But maybe like around 2000, I don't know, 12 or 13, something like that. Maybe it was 2013. Do you remember the song by Macklemore, Thrift
Oh
Shop?
yeah, yeah. Me and my dad used to get hyped to that, like in our minivan driving to the store.
Do you think that song was responsible, or at least had an effect on like the popularity of thrifting?
Maybe.
Because I don't know, maybe this is just me placing some connecting dots that shouldn't be connected. But I
I
feel
think
like maybe like around when that song came out, that's when it started to really ramp up.
Yeah, probably.
Could just be coincidence or not related to that song, but
I mean, I think a lot of people looked at that song as like goofy,
yeah,
like he was like trying to be funny, like
he was,
oh,
yeah,
like
yeah.
look, I'm so fly and like this fur coat.
Right. Yeah, he's wearing a ridiculous outfit and stuff. But
But like it's true, like it is like you can make anything look cool.
Yeah.
And he was like saying that, but I think it was more satire than like being like, yo, this is actually like super cool and everyone should be doing it.
That's true. That's true.
But then because it definitely caught on after that, because that song came out in like 2013.
Yeah.
Which, not to be that guy, but me and my dad were doing that like
Before.
at that time and before. But like it really didn't catch on until like probably like 2017, 2018. Okay. Well, I don't even know. Maybe even later than that.
Really?
Like, I don't know. Definitely not then. Like it wasn't like a huge hustle that everyone was into in 2013. Okay. I know that for sure.
All right, so not because of that song then.
Yeah, probably not. I think it was just something that people laughed at.
I feel like we hit on most of the subjects, but did you have something that you wanted to say that I didn't ask you about military, thrifting, being in a band?
I could have talked about the military thing forever.
Oh, wait, there was actually one thing you were saying. You wanted to talk about the activation?
Yeah, it was just like the getting activated for riots and having to drop out of EMT school and like it being actually super hectic, but I think I hit on that.
Oh, okay. Were you activated for the Kyle Rittenhouse thing?
Yes.
Yeah, you were there for that?
Well, I wasn't there at that one.
Okay.
But like that time.
That time.
It was that same exact time when, because yeah, the Kyle Rittenhouse thing happened at a Jacob Blake.
Oh, he was at that same
I think,
one?
Did it?
I don't remember, honestly.
I should remember. I don't know. Like, I was literally, like, firsthand. Like, I was there. Like, I was involved with all that stuff, and I don't even remember.
Actually, yeah, you're probably right. I think the Jacob Blake shooting happened, and then there were riots because of that. And then the Kyle Rittenhouse
I'm pretty sure.
those riots.
I'm pretty sure that's how it happened, too.
Yeah.
And I wasn't at the actual Kyle Rittenhouse
day.
That one.
Yeah.
But I was in Kenosha, like, during that like handful of when everything was going crazy. Like I remember I was activated on January 6th.
Oh really?
When all that went down. And
were there like local riots on January 6th day or like
not in Wisconsin really, I don't think.
Oh, did you go to different states for it?
No, I was only activated in Kenosha, Racine, and Madison, and this was all like within like a couple weeks when everything was crazy.
Yeah.
But I had friends that were there that I like met at basic training that were at the White House and stuff in response to that. And
wow.
I remember just thinking like, what the hell? Like this is like, I've picked a bad time to do this. But I mean, it ended up, I've had like 3 World War III scares now and like nothing horrible has happened yet.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. Sorry that was annoying. Yeah. Now with like the Israel stuff. And
right.
That's, I mean, it first was when we killed that like ISIS leader or whatever, that big one. I don't know. There was just a couple. Oh, and then Ukraine. When Ukraine started, I was like, oh God, here we go. And then that ended up being fine for me at least. But like I haven't had to do anything for that. And now.
Well, are you not deployable until your unit finishes the series of like tests basically?
Yeah. So 2025.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll see. I also have there's another thing kind of about that we didn't really talk about is I'm kind of wondering if I should sign another contract or just
it's like a 4 or 7 year contract or.
Well, the first one I signed was 6.
6.
And you can re-sign for honestly however long, but I think it caps out at 6.
Oh, okay. So what are the normal ones? 4 or 6?
Usually people resign for, like 4 or 6
Okay.
or 1 sometimes.
1 even, okay.
Sometimes, like, if it's like my contract was ending and my unit was going to deploy, like, right after, as some guys are like, oh, I want to go. Like, I want to go deploy. So they'll re-up for like a year so they can go. And then they're done right after that.
Yeah.
But the benefits to doing it is if you stay in for 20 years, you get a pension when you retire.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's 20 years, though. I mean,
20 years.
It's a long time to invest in
think about
a single
like
job.
I'm already going to have 6 down.
That's true. And I mean, it's only, one long weekend a month.
Exactly.
Plus a month in the summer.
And since I joined when I was 17, 20 years from that, I'd be 37 when I retire from the Guard.
Yeah, that sounds like you kind of set. Although, I guess your pension probably scales with how many years after. Like, you get a bigger pension if you're 30, right? Or is that not?
What do you mean? Like if you stay in for 30,
like if you were there for 30 years instead of 20, your pension would be a lot better.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't. Well, I don't really know how that works, but that's like a big reason why a lot of people stay in. Yeah. And then, like I said before, the insurance and education benefits and things like that. I know, like, if I stay in, there's a way I can get education benefits for a spouse or any offspring.
Oh yeah.
Or, like
offspring.
Yeah, that's a weird way to say it, but that's like actually how they phrase it, which is weird. Like, any of your offspring can go to school, but yeah, like, that's another reason. And it's like, now that I've like gotten like the hard getting into it part, like the scary part kind of over with, now that I'm like in it, it's kind of cake. Like, I'm just going to work kind of. I actually have to leave to go after this podcast.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's a 5-dayer.
Wait, so does that like mess up your schooling at all?
For sure.
Like, you miss classes?
Yeah.
Like tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm missing classes all week. Like, I have to be there at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be out in the field, which means, like, sleeping in tents and stuff until Sunday.
So then until Sunday, so there's no time to do your homework while you're out there?
No. There's no reception or anything. But all the professors at Milwaukee so far have been
Like, you let them know?
I can easily get extensions on anything. Like, everyone be, yeah, sure, take your time.
Yeah.
Actually, I forgot. Is my back... Oh, here it is. I brought something for you.
Oh, what'd you bring?
I don't know if it's going to work out for you because you're vegan, right?
Yeah.
But I actually brought you an MRE, which is it stands for meal ready to eat. It's like a military issued, like...
this is what you take out with you when you're camping and shitting in the woods?
Yeah. So that one is... What does that say?
Creamy spinach fettuccine.
Yeah, and that one is the one that I had that I thought would have the most things that you could eat in it.
Wireless ration heaters are prohibited on commercial airlines.
I'm pretty sure it has like all the ingredients of each component in there.
Oh, inside. Okay.
But yeah, if you ever want to crack that thing open, see what we eat. It's actually pretty cool.
So then, is there somebody who's like the pack mule or something who's got to bring a bunch of pots or something like to cook on a fire, or is it you just eat it?
Everything's in there. Everything you need to heat up your meal is in there. Oh,
that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, there's actually like a bag that you put water into, and you like put it against the bag, and it's like some chemical reaction where it puts off these super stinky fumes, but it heats up super fast, and it like heats your meal.
That sounds kind of awesome.
It is awesome. Yeah, you should. If there's anything in there you can eat, you should try, because it's not bad either. Like, a lot of people think it's kind of gross, but I've probably just gotten used to it over time. But
kind of makes me think of like astronaut food.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what it is, because that'll last you like that'll be good for like 30, 40 years. Like, that's what they're meant for. They're waterproof. You can, like...
So this one pack, how many, like, meals is this supposed to be? One?
But there's, like, an ass load of calories in there that, like, you can, like, probably eat one and be good for a day.
Yeah.
Or day and a half, even. Another thing that's kind of mildly interesting and kind of funny about them is, since they're made to last so long and they're, like, packaged like that and, like, super processed, they do the same thing in your stomach. Like they last a long time and it's like kind of hard to digest them. So it comes with laxative gum.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it made of? I gotta take a look at that.
Yeah, you should crack it open and let me know what you think. But it was just something fun that I've had some of my roommate that I'd take home, and I have had some of my friends try, and yeah, it's funny. I know there's one vegan one, vegetable crumble, which is like notoriously the worst tasting one, and that's like the second worst one probably. The vegetarian vegan ones are not great.
I guess it makes sense to design them to stay in your stomach, maybe,
right?
Because then you're like, I don't know, on active duty out somewhere, you don't want to get hungry again.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the point. It's supposed to like be sufficient amount of calories to really like keep you going for a long time.
Well, thanks.
You're so welcome. There's more where that came from.
All right. If it's really good, then yeah, I'll hit you up again.
Yeah, let me know. I can be your guy. They're actually, a lot of people use them for like doomsday prepping too, because they'll last forever. It's like all non-perishable, you know.
Maybe I should give my dad some. He's got like he's not a doomsday prepper, but he's got a gigantic collection of canned and like
that's
like
awesome.
Pasta like stuff just like in his closet in the basement.
Yeah, that's sweet. Like I think doomsday prepping has like such a funny connotation to it where it's like, oh, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But it's actually been something that I've been like kind of interested. Like it's like guilty. It's like one of my guilty
pleasures.
What's the word? Not even pleasure because I don't do it.
Yeah.
But like longings.
Yeah.
Like I would like to.
You could become one this time.
Yeah, for sure. Because like living in Milwaukee, if something happens, some kind of apocalyptic solar flare or nuclear blast, like we'd all be screwed.
Yeah, I mean you'd be on call.
Yeah, true. Well, I'd go off the record. Off the record. Anyways, I think it'd be so cool to have some kind of camper like prepped where you could just like take it and drive into the woods anywhere and be good.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool. Yeah,
I think it'd be sweet. I'd feel safe.
All right, so before we end this podcast, do you have any words of parting? One thing I like to do on occasion, or most episodes, is ask somebody, my guest, ask them if they have any advice or thing to do, thing that perhaps you've done or enjoy that you think that the listener would benefit from.
Okay. Advice, everything's on YouTube.
Tutorials everywhere.
Yeah, everything's on YouTube. Do not be intimidated to learn something new. Make the most out of your day, because this sounds corny, but there's only 24 hours in a day, and there's a lot you can get done in that, and it feels good to accomplish something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of it.
Nice.
Take leaps of faith, like, I don't know, take risks, too. I think that's important.
Oh, yeah, those are good pieces of wisdom.
Yeah, that's what I gotta say. That's my free chicken for y'all.
All right, well, thank you very much for being on this episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was really fun.
Yeah,
I'd love to come on again. I think we should try. We did
get
like
a multiple person.
Yeah, you could even borrow our Zoom recorder.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
could do a 3-4 person podcast.
Yeah,
episode.
that'd be fun.
Yeah,
might get a little hectic, especially with like.
Yeah, you gotta have to like have good. I don't know, discipline or something. So now everybody's talking over each other all the time.
Have to have like a talking stick.
Yeah, or something.